Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Eternal Devotion once again, and this time we're running up against Jeskai control. So this is our opening hand. We have a Street Erase, Double Summoners Pact, Pact Negation, a Postmortem Lunge, and 2 fetch lands. I don't think this is really a keeper. We don't have any of our combo pieces. We've got a few too many pacts, which we don't really want. And we haven't really got any ways to find our combo pieces other than this Street Wraith, which is going to draw us 1 card deeper. So I think this is a mulligan. This hand's a bit better. We've got Hold of the Bandit Lord into a turn 2 Hasty Devoted Druid, which could potentially be pretty dangerous for our opponent and get us a fairly quick win. So I'm pretty happy with this hand. See Street Wraith on top of the Scry. I'm just going to keep that on top. Might as well get the extra draw. Dig a little bit deeper. So cycle 2 Street Wraiths, find Pact and Negation, and pay out the Hold of the Bandit Lord. Plays Sacred Foundry tapped. I'm just going to play a Hasty Devoted Druid. Cast this Conjurer's Bauble and sack it. Draw an extra card. Interesting thing to note, you don't have to put anything on the bottom of your library with Conjurer's Bauble. You can opt out of doing that and just and then just put it in there and draw the card. Tends to be quite useful given that we're going for Delirium, so generally I just pop it without putting anything on the bottom of the library. And we could have put Street Wraith here because obviously it doesn't affect Delirium, so we could have put that back on the bottom, but I think we're happy with it in the graveyard, to be honest. So we draw to traverse the Uvenwald, which will be very handy for us once we get to Delirium, which we're not far off. We should have that by next turn if we play out Hold of the Bandit Lord and sack the other land. So I'm going to play Adventurous Impulse here, find another Hold of the Bandit Lord, which isn't ideal, but never mind. I'm going to play Glacial Fortress, Lightning Bolts the Devoted Druid, gets rid of that. We draw Post-Mortem Lunge, which is nice, so we're going to be able to use that to get back this Devoted Druid in future. Okay, we don't have any white sources at the moment, so we can't actually cast Vizier of the Vizier of Remedies. But that's what I'm going to go for here, because obviously we've got a way of getting back the Devoted Druid with haste, and I don't really want to run Traverse into counter magic or anything, so I think this is a good time to just go fetch that up. There's a land, we draw a Horizon Canopy, so we've got a white source now. We draw with Foothills. Fairly happy to be drawing lands, just gives us more mana to fight off counter magic, and obviously we're looking to win in 1 turn here, so having extra mana is handy. But we do really need to find a win condition. That's the problem we've got here. We could potentially have gone off a lot earlier, but the fact is we can generate infinite mana, but then we have nothing to do with it. It's as things stand. Other than maybe draw a card off this Horizon Canopy, so we definitely need to find something that leads us towards Walking Ballista, or a card that can find us it. Crack the Canopy end of turn, which finds us a second Devoted Druid. Just going to try running that out here and seeing if our opponent's got the removal or some way of getting rid of it. Turns out they do, and they've got the Electrolyze to kill it off, but no great loss, I don't think, given that we still got the lunge, and we've got double Pact and Negation for the kill. Needs be, opponent plays Chase, looks at the top of our library and puts something on the bottom, which is fine. We draw into a Deadshot Minotaur, which is going to cycle. That finds Traverse, so that's the last piece of the puzzle we were looking for, because we can use that to find Walking Ballista. So the important thing to note here, and I almost didn't realise it myself, so Hold of the Bandit Lord, I thought the mana it generated could only be used to cast creature spells, obviously then giving them haste, but as it turns out it does generate colourless mana just in general. It just costs you 3 life to do so, so you can spend it on non-creature spells, which is what we're going to need to do here. So the issue we kind of had here was that we need the white mana to cast Vizier, so we definitely need one of these Temple Gardens to be up. So if Hold of the Bandit Lord couldn't be used to cast Post-Mortem Lunge, we would have had a big problem. But as it stands, we can actually use our Hall of the Bandit Lord and the Temple Garden to get this Devoted Druid in. We're able to cast Vizier here, but it has a Lightning Helix which we're going to be able to pact. And then from here we can traverse the Uvenwald, find Walking Ballista, and then we just get to go off here, generate infinite mana and make an infinitely large Walking Ballista. And even if our opponent had anything further to say about it, we've got the Pact and Negation here, which would answer any of that. So yeah, our opponent concedes. So let's go on to the sideboard. So here we are with the sideboard. In terms of sideboarding against Jeskai control, I think we want Defense Grid in. I think that seems like the kind of card that the kind of deck that we want to be playing this against. I think we probably want maybe one or maybe both copies of the Postmortem Lunge. Obviously they have decks filled with burn spells, but they've also got Path to Exile, so that kind of negates that. But I think Postmortem Lunge is going to be handy, given that they're going to be probably targeting their burn spells at our creatures. So maybe bringing in one or more copies of that. Also, I would like to bring in Reclamation Sage and Dissenter's Deliverance, or some number thereof. They're likely to have sort of a Pithing Needle or a Pithing Needle, Pithing Needle or something else that would Engineered Explosives was another card that they run. So there's a few artifacts that could basically end the game for us if we don't have an answer in our deck. So I think it's useful to bring those in, and I think it's likely that our opponent's got something along those lines in their deck. So I think bringing in a Deliverance or a Reclamation Sage or both is probably a wise idea, just to give us an out to those kind of situations. In terms of things to take out, I think we probably just want to take out some of the sort of extra cards. I think we probably want to cut Deadshot Minotaur, maybe the Wild Cantor or the Manamorphose. Everything else seems pretty good. Pact of Negation seems pretty like this is kind of the matchup for Pact of Negation, so certainly don't want to be cutting those. So yeah, I think we probably just cut the sort of extraneous cards like the Bauble, the Wild Cantor, the Manamorphose, and the Minotaur, or some number thereof, and yeah, bring in some number of lunges, probably some of the artifact destruction / Reclamation Sage, and I think the Defense Grid as well seems like a good one to bring in. Okay, so here we are, game 2. This is our opening hand. Yeah, seems pretty good. We've got Vizier, we've got Traverse, and we can probably put together Delirium fairly swiftly with this hand. We've got Street Wraith and Mishra's Bauble to get us started. I think we can probably do that fairly swiftly. Opponent leads off with Serum Visions. Draw a Commune with Nature, which is nice. So we Street Wraith into a Street Wraith, Street Wraith into a Ancient Stirrings, and then Street Wraith into a Fetch Land. So obviously we are taking a bit of a risk with our life total here, but I don't think there's any much point in keeping the Street Wraiths around. Obviously our opponent is burned, so and Hall of the Bandit Lord costs 3 life to activate, and Horizon Canopies are pain lands. So there is a bit of a risk here of going too low and getting burnt out. So we do need to be careful of that. We'll play Bauble here, see what it reveals. It reveals Hall of the Bandit Lord, and I'm not too concerned about that. So I think, I mean, having haste is useful in this matchup particularly. So maybe I should have tried to get that, but I think we're better off just cracking the fetch here, shuffling up the library, and then trying to find a Devoted Druid here with Commune of Nature. With Nature, we find a Walking Ballista instead, which is fine, and that's our win condition. So that's useful. Draw a card off the Bauble on our opponent's upkeep. You just pay a fetch land. Just going to run Vizier out here. see what happens. If our opponent's not able to kill it, then potentially we can summon as pact next turn. Play the Devoted Druid. Well, actually, that wouldn't have worked out so well because obviously our Devoted Druid wouldn't have had haste, but I still like playing the Vizier out there and just seeing if our opponent's going to have the removal or the answer. We draw into a Devoted Druid. Going to Ancient Stirrings, finding a fetch land. Going to cast a Devoted Druid, which gets hit with a Logic Knot. Which again isn't the worst. Opponent plays Engineered Explosives. We draw onto another Devoted Druid, which I'm just going to cast here. I'm down to 7 here, which is kind of risky territory. Opponent cracks the Engineered Explosives, which is good news for us. I feel like they could have been more greedy with that play and left the Engineered Explosives out for a longer period. Because really that would have made our life a whole lot more difficult. I'm going to Summoner's Pact here, try and find Devoted Druid again, play out. So the issue we've got here is that we don't have any ways of granting the Druid haste, which makes life a bit problematic. But has Path to Exile for the Devoted Druid, so we're now down to our last Devoted Druid in the deck, so things aren't looking great for us. But we do have 2 Postmortem Lunges, I think, that we sideboarded into, which could help us out. Draw Wild Cantor, which isn't great. Get the Postmortem Lunge, though, here, which is very, very good. Particularly when we have Pact of Negation up as well. So our opponent flipped their search for Azcanta into Azcanta the Sunken Ruin. They're going to be able to search their the top cards. Because interestingly, our opponents only got only had 1 card in hand, so they'd pretty much exhausted their resources thus far. But that finds a Path to Exile with the Azcanta. I cast Devoted Druid, going to cast Traverse, and tries to path the Devoted Druid, but we're going to be able to pact that. And then we're going to be able to play Vizier. And then from there, we've got the Walking Ballista in hand, ready to go. And we're just going to be able to go off here. And it appears whatever it is, the last card in our opponent's hand is not going to assist them here. So this takes a lot of clicking on Magic Online. And I'm not the fastest of players, but I still don't think it's actually too bad in terms of time spent to actually combo off. It's not the worst. I decided to play the Walking Ballista here for less than the maximum, just in case our opponent had Disdainful Stroke, I think it's called. Although that probably was just a waste of time, to be honest, but that was probably the one card that our opponent could have that would have been a problem. Yeah, fortunately our opponent doesn't really have anything for the combo, and we're able to win there thanks to the Postmortem Lunge. So yeah, that worked out pretty well all in all. Our matchup against Jeskai Control seems kind of interesting. Certainly they've got a lot of removal, but we do have answers to that. Pact of Negation seems very good. Postmortem Lunge also did a lot of work for us in this game. So yeah, I think it's reasonable. We can certainly combo through them, and Pact of Negation again seemed to work very well as an answer to their solutions. Engineered Explosive certainly seems like one to watch out for. I don't know if our opponent should have just kept this on the battlefield in readiness. Really, I think perhaps they cracked this too soon, because we would have had to find an answer to this at some point. But yeah, otherwise this went very well, and yeah, we wrapped it up against a deck that is quite heavy in removal, and we were able to deal with it